This is the Shine On You Crazy Daisy podcast, and I'm your host, Trudy Simmons from the Daisy Chain Group, providing platforms for women entrepreneurs to be seen and heard. This platform is for women entrepreneurs that want to hear the real stories of what it takes to be yourself and run a business with all the different hats that you might have to wear. These are the stories of the tenacious, the rebellious, and the resilient women that are working towards the future that they want to build for themselves and their families. Hello and welcome to the Shine On You Crazy Daisy podcast and the Shine On You Crazy Daisy book, volume 2. And today I have the wonderful Victoria Schofield from the Cup and Saucer. And I am so excited to hear this story. Victoria, please tell us about your business.
Okay, well, it's a very simple concept. I am an afternoon tea delivery service. I don't have premises that people can come to. I literally put scones, jam, cake, cream, and sandwiches onto the old-fashioned Victorian stands, and I put them in the car with all of the hamper full of crockery and tea bags and everything else, and I deliver it to your home or to whoever's home as a gift, and then I return the following day or at a mutually convenient time, and I take it all away, and you don't even have to wash it up. It's literally that simple.
Sounds pretty perfect to me, but how on earth did this all begin? Because you used to be a contract litigation solicitor. Yeah. How did you get into this?
Yeah, it's turn left at the traffic lights, really, isn't it? It's a combination of factors, really. We went into lockdown. My job finished, and my husband said, take some time off. You know, we're in lockdown, take some time off. He started working at home. We got about 2 weeks into lockdown, and the next conversation was, Victoria, find something to do or I'm going to have to divorce you. Because quite literally, that was what he said, because I'm not very good when I'm bored. So I took myself off to sort out loft, which I think most people did, to try and maintain some sanity when you weren't allowed out of the house. And I found my granny's tea service. So I just sorted it out, put it in another box, labeled it all up. And then coincidentally, later that exact same day, I read a message from a friend of mine on Facebook who was saying thank you to a bakery round the corner from his granny who had delivered an afternoon tea for her 80th birthday. They couldn't, obviously, because we were in lockdown, they couldn't get to see their granny. And he just was saying thank you for such a nice gesture and for, doing something out of the ordinary, away from your actual business, if you like. And so I started joining dots. And I thought, well, I've got a car, I've got time, I've got a crockery set, and I can bake. And so the rest is pretty much history, and I've remained married. So,
well, there's good and bad, isn't there?
Yeah, well, I know. Yeah, it depends which way you look at it.
That's brilliant. What really, you and I had a funny conversation a little while ago, and you said to me that somebody had said, we were talking about feedback and testimonials you get from people, and somebody had said, there are too many strawberries in this jam, and I laughed. But honestly, when somebody says something like that, however you can take it, it's a piece of feedback that you wonder, oh, am I supposed to do something about this? So when that person said that, how did you deal with it, and how do you deal with other feedback, good or bad?
Well, on the too many strawberries in the jam front, that is true. Well, that's not me just making it up and being flippant. It was perfectly true. And for once, I remember thinking, I have no idea how I'm supposed to respond to this. Not a single clue. Do I offer a cocktail stick to pick them out? I don't know. I've got no idea.
But it was strawberry jam that you had given them?
Yeah, it was homemade strawberry jam, and it's beautiful. A friend of mine makes it for me, and it's packed with fruit. And I think, to be honest, the lady was just looking for something to be able to criticize, and that was the best she could come up with. So I said, okay, right, well, I'm sorry about that. I'll take that on board. And I said, you know, all feedback is good, which it is, and I believe that.
Yeah.
And so when anybody gives me feedback, thankfully it's mostly very good feedback. Sorry to blow my own trumpet a little bit, but mostly it is. And on the rare occasions that I've had a bit of negative feedback, I respond to it immediately, whether it's face to face or if I get an email. And I'd say it's only happened 2 or 3 times. Jump on it, respond to it immediately, take ownership of it, apologize, even if you think they're wrong and not you, and learn from it. Fight every single instinct to go into a corner and start crying, because that would be what I would like to do, but you can't. This is, you know, you've got to be professional about it and act professionally. Don't start getting grumpy or being rude. Just polite, apologize, and learn from it, as I say, and get on with it. So
one of the brilliant things that you said in your chapter is that this is your brand, so fight for it. And if somebody thinks that something's wrong, apologize and move on, because you're going to protect your brand in the long run. And that's really cool. You give so many tips in the chapter for new businesses, especially you've only been going for 18 months. What are your 3 top tips from those?
When you're setting up, learn everything you can about your business, or your potential business. So think it through, research your competition, research your area, because if the market is flooded with something you already do, then you know you're starting on your back foot. Learn everything that you can. Take courses, read books. You'd be amazed how many free courses there are out there for people starting small businesses, and listen to every single word they say. Make sure you educate yourself, and not just when you're beginning or deciding to set up. Continually keep doing it, because there's always something else you can learn, and I think that's very important. The more knowledge you have, the more successful you're going to be, in my opinion. And that's because I'm a bit of a bookworm. So I like to have all of the information at my fingertips, and you can never have enough. So that would be my first one. Sorry, that was a bit long-winded. But that's my first one. The second one, I think, is don't learn how to not do the sackcloth and ashes routine on yourself. I think that's very important, and I've had to learn that. So if you have a bad day, don't beat yourself up about it. And a bad day could be, you know, you've burnt a batch of scones, or you've delivered something with a squished raspberry or strawberry because you have to put the in cling film. No one is going to die from that, and so you need to put it in perspective, and you need to learn to you need to learn to give yourself a bit of a break, I think. And then the final thing that I would say, and I think this is possibly one of the most important things, is that a small business is not just a small business. It has to be an exceptional business, because you've decided to do it. As you said, it's your brand. You have to fight for your brand, but you shouldn't have to fight for your brand, because your brand should be really, really good. And so even when you can't be bothered, even when you're dragging yourself out of bed at 5 o'clock in the morning, or you're still sending emails at 1 o'clock in the prior morning, you've chosen to do it. Get on with it and make yourself proud. And that way you'll get a job satisfaction, I think. So they would be my 3 things. A bit long-winded, sorry.
I love it. They're all so important, and it is that feeling of sometimes when you don't want to get up in the mornings, or you are working too late.
Yeah,
you can work out what balance looks like for you, but it doesn't mean that these days aren't going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And they are. That's the reality of the situation. You know, it's not like you're doing this as a hobby. And I think that's possibly, sorry to add another thing in. You're not doing this as a hobby. You're doing this as your business. You're doing it with your name attached to it. So again, get on with it and do it with pride and enjoy it.
I love it. If there was one lesson that you wanted every entrepreneur to know, what would it be?
Have confidence. Don't give up. Strive for perfection.
Ooh, that'll do it. Crikey.
It's easier said than done.
If everybody had that, it would be, even if we woke up each day and just thought those things. I love it. Yes. Tap your ground.
Get some sleep occasionally.
Jolly good idea. And what is your favorite business book?
It was a book. I've been thinking about this. It was a book that I bought years ago in Edinburgh. I went to a wedding in Edinburgh and we had some time to kill. And I remember it distinctly. It was in Waterstones, and it was called How to Be a Success. And it was a collaboration piece, really, just like what you're doing. And there were famous people in it. There were not so many famous people in it. And it was how they had become successful, and also what you should consider as a success, as opposed to, this is how you do it. And it was very, very thought-provoking, and I still have it. It was a huge hardback tome. Yeah. And I dip into it every so often. And I dipped into it when I was doing all the research to start up this business. And it's just thought-provoking and it's inspirational. And people have a very different take on what makes you a success or what makes you a failure. But all of these people had a very different idea of what makes you a success or how to be a success. So it drives your mind a bit. It makes you think. Yeah. So I found it fascinating.
And thinking outside the box, I would think, on what success and failure is to each individual person, because we are all different and we're all driven by different things.
Of course, absolutely. I mean, the failure for me is a squished raspberry under some cling film, so not for everyone, but
or too many strawberries in the jam. Crikey.
Too many strawberries in the jam. I think there are probably bigger things in life, but that's my go-to.
Victoria, it's been such a pleasure, and I wish you every success. I've watched your journey, and from the start, all that I've seen is rave reviews about the delivery, the service, what you've been offering, but the joy that you've brought people with that. So congratulations on your business. And thank you so much for being a part of Shine On You Crazy Daisy book and podcast.
Well, thank you very much for having me. Thank you for the invitation. And I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And I've learned an awful lot from all of the other members as well. So thank you to everyone. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Victoria. Thank you so much for watching the Shine On You Crazy Daisy podcast. If you've liked what you've seen today, then please make sure that you click the subscribe button to this channel to see more inspiration and motivation as more of these stories keep coming out. And if you want even more, click on the link below this video and go and have a look at the series of books Shine On You Crazy Daisy and get even more inspiration and motivation for you and your business.